Yeah, it's your boy Joka, man. I'm here with my main man, R.I.P, Mr. Murder City himself. I'd say we met each other in about 2007.
Where were we at?
We was in the jungle, man. We was in Murder City itself, in Detroit on the west side. Yay, Pearson. Man, we met each other, man, through my partner AK, who connected us on videos. And through doing videos, you know what I'm saying, we bonded and became friends, man. And I ended up later on going to the feds. And I got hit with 8 years, 96 months. And during that time, man, you know what I'm saying, so many people, you know, left your life, and some people stayed, and some people to remain silent. And Al was one of the dudes, man, that continued to reach out to me throughout my whole bid, through Core Links, which is an emailing service, and even through mail, you know what I'm saying? He kept me updated on the upcoming projects he had going on, such as the T Stucky or the St. Aubin project. And we just continued to bond, man. And, you know, now we on a whole nother journey. We out here on this West Coast.
Much nicer situation.
You know what I'm saying? Everything legit. Everything is upstanding. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I came from a music background. I'm still in it.
I had a run where I was doing everybody's videos in Detroit, and everybody wasn't a drug dealer, but they almost all were. And, you know, you were later convicted of involvement in some street activities. A few of you guys, like AK, Tone Scott, who I met you through, and a few other guys, before we get into the gang stuff and all that, what's your musical background? And
my musical background, I gotta say, man, was a beautiful situation. Through more recently, we was working out deals with Capitol Records. Through Troy Marshall, we was talking about the 360 deal that just came on the table.
What year was this?
I'm bad with years, so I want to say 09, right before I actually got convicted. And I met Troy Marshall at a party that DJ Sour Milk was hosting. Well, he was DJing, and I was there to go meet him. And I seen that Troy was like the man in the club, which was the name of the single that I had at the time on the radio in the Midwest, was featuring Tone Tone. And we bonded. He liked my energy, I liked his energy. And he knew a couple of DJs, you know what I'm saying, that I was dealing with, such as Big Dog Blast, Wax Tax, and Drake. And he invited me to Interscope to listen to my music. And the funny thing about it, the day I went to Interscope for the first time, the power went out in the building. But I had my MacBook. See, one thing I learned about this industry, you stay strapped. You always keep your flash drive with you, laptop, CDs, anything that you could be an opportunist with if you see the right people where you can network. So what I chose to do was we hooked up the laptop and we got busy. And through that situation, an offer was made.
Hold on, now go back. Wasn't some years prior, when you were younger, you had a situation where it actually got cashed out?
When I was I want to say 2001, was my first deal was with Sweet Music Records / Warner Brothers through Quentin Salmon. Shout out to Quentin, Bubba O, everybody over that way, man. We showed a lot of love over there. It actually was the first time I actually got some music money. After I ever made any money off music was through Quentin Salmon. And I think he gave me $18,000. I went and bought a bird.
So where are you from, Detroit? How did you end up out here, and how did you get mixed up in the gang activity?
Well, if you ask me where I'm from, I'm gonna tell you I'm from DIE, and that's Detroit Inland Empire, from the west side of Detroit, Pearson Avenue, in Wildermere. I moved out here to Rialto at the age of 10, due to child abuse, child neglect, going through a lot of things without having a dad in the house. And
tell us some of the...
the details is it brought me to California.
Your grandma, things were so bad, the California family said, hey,
it's time to go. But no, not just yet. See, that didn't happen yet. What happened was I came out here in '89. We moved from the jungles to Rialto.
So you first moved to what's known as the jungle.
Known as the jungle there.
What's
that area? I didn't know shit about that area at all.
For those who don't know what...
I'm telling you, oh yeah, this the jungle. It's Black Peace Stalls, Swoop.
That's where
my grandma moved from.
Day.
Which where they shot Training Day at. Shout out to my partner E-Rock, L Black, they from the J's. But I ended up moving out to Rialto in '89 with my grandmother, and it was slow. You know, I'm used to gunshots and people getting robbed, stabbed, and raped on the side of the house.
In Detroit.
So to be in a community where, you know, it's two parents in the home, kids wearing actual jerseys and uniforms to play sports, like it just was kind of like Leave It to Beaver to me.
But under the surface,
you know what I'm saying? What I realized was later on that this is not a place to play with at all. California is very dangerous because they gangbanging out of $500,000 houses. So the rewind time is I was off. My grandmother gave me an option: go back to Detroit or stay here. I choose to go back to my mom in Detroit because I feel like if I didn't go back, then there was a possibility that I would lose my mother. So I always want.
What does that mean?
I mean, we was all getting abused. We all was in an abusive relationship.
Mother's life was in danger.
My mother's life was in danger. My life was in danger. But instead of leaving my mom, I chose to go back and be with my mom.
At what age?
At 10. So, speeding it up to the age 13.
What's going on in the neighborhood? What year is it?
1992, the Chronic had just dropped. Rest in peace, my cousin Rob. And, man, we were living on Plymouth on 1 mile, P-Rock. And I got kicked out the house.
What is going on? If you're 14, what's your daily life like?
At 13, Wildermere is crack central, Dauphin City. I get kicked out the house. I move over to my grandmother's house on Rosemont in Plymouth. My grandmother was real strict. She always ran a little house, you know, so she did numbers, you know what I mean, for years. So you couldn't touch the phone, you couldn't do this, couldn't do this, couldn't do that.
So your family was kind of in the underground economy.
No question. My family was in the underground economy.
Not necessarily drugs, it's all kinds.
Yeah, just period. You know what I'm saying? My grandmother was, you know, she smuggled immigrants from Canada. My other grandmother, she ran numbers all my life. What I chose to take a liking to was the streets. Because coming from Wildermere, I seen the difference between, you know, those that had and those that didn't have. Wildermere was known for at least making $100,000 a day. And at this time, it was ran by Frank Nitty and Louie. Rest in peace, both of them. My grandmother was real strict. So, you know, I decided to go to this party one night and I didn't come home. And from there, you know what I'm saying, I come back the next day. She was at church. When she walked in, she started slapping me up. I just left an abusive household, so that's what I wasn't going for. So I left. When I left, me and my homie Chuck, rest in peace, Charles Caldwell, we end up finding somebody to work for. And back in the day, at this era, it would call it rolling. And everybody that was rolling looked for youngsters like me to sit in their house and do shifts. I didn't want no shifts. I wanted the whole day.
The jobs I was offering and did and you did, it was like a regular job. You come here from 4 and you work to 12 or whatever the situation was. What was that like? When
you ran shifts was just like any other job, first, second, and third. And you sit there with you and your partner with the strap and y'all sell rocks for 8 hours. You know, whether you skip a school, you go after school, you go, you know, to the next morning.
And how much would come through in a day?
I mean, the house might do $5,000-$10,000 a day. You know what I mean? You make, anyway, you can make any. I was getting $500 a day because I'm doing the whole day.
And you're what, 14?
I'm 13.
What are you doing with this money?
Nothing. Like, honestly, you know what I mean? I bought a triple fat goose at the time.
That's 1 day pay.
I probably, you know, bought a bunch of Nikes. Back then it was about getting fresh. I'm a poor at this time. I'm not supporting the household. I ran away from my grandmother. So all I'm doing is stacking my money and all we doing is blowing it. You know, we just got introduced to smoking marijuana because of the Chronic. So we just experienced with blunts from a joint era. You know, Joey, rest in peace. My partner Nicholas, he doing 40 years right now. You know, 1 Mile Chuck, rest in peace. Buck, Mr. Peter Roll. I mean, we ran the streets of Plymouth. And that's when I kind of got introduced to the Bloods. That was my first introduction.
So you were introduced to the Bloods in Detroit?
In Detroit is when my partner Demond was a vice lord / Blood.
Gangs traditionally not really been in Detroit.
Gangs traditionally ain't been in Detroit, but I gotta say that in 1993.
Is this someone who was from California?
No, he's from 1 Mile. And he was a gangbanger.
How did he get?
I couldn't tell you history. He was older than me. But that's the first time that's the first time I recognized a Blood, red flags, things of that nature. So my grandmother came out there for a family reunion. When she came to the family reunion, my dad had came to the neighborhood and he put an APB out on me and shit. And he found me. When he told my grandma was out here from California, she wanted to talk to me. So I go to my nana house, we all sit down and she had give me an option. Do I want to stay out here in Detroit in the streets or do I want to come to California? I chose to go to California. A year later, I got kicked out of California for armed robbery. The money was slow. It wasn't nothing like making $500 a day that I was used to making when I was working for Nut.
It's Friday night at midnight on a cold November 1993 on Puritan and Willoughby.
It's creepy. For those that don't know anything about Detroit or the cocaine crack era, it was creepy.
Wasn't fun.
Nah. If you didn't know the dope fiends in your neighborhood, like, I always had a lot of jobs. My job in the neighborhood was to clean up other people's shit, go to the store for them. I worked for Smitty. I worked for Bob and Ron. I worked for every drug dealer in the neighborhood. I was their store man. When they wanted their lotteries played, they needed stand backs, they wanted to fold a piece, or they wanted a Fago piece pop. That was my job. Every day I had the same routine. And then I'd go to Farmer Jack and get my hustle on, helping people with their groceries. So when I moved to California, the money was slow. I ended up hooking on my partner Jay Wee, you know what I'm saying, who ended up later on getting stabbed 13 times. He's been paralyzed ever since he was 15 years old. And that's my partner to this day. And the homie Lil Scotty. So what they introduced me to was San Bernardino. Now, even though I grew up in Rialto, I grew up in San Bernardino as well, which is only 6 minutes away.
But that's different.
It's a way difference. That west side of San Bernardino, now that
I call it the Detroit of California.
that's the heart of the streets. San Bernardino is like Highland Park. You know anything about Detroit, Michigan, you know Highland Park or Brightmoor is two of the most treacherous places on the west side. And I gotta say, man, San Bernardino was like, and Rialto was like night and day.
Because you were used to that from Detroit, you were kind of, even though you're living in a nicer area, you're like,
I'm trained, and I'm like, it's like a magnet to be in the street life. It's something I was destined for. I remember being in the drug program in the federal penitentiary, and a lady asked me, what did I want to be when I grew up? And I told her I always wanted to be a gangster. And I think she took that as a egotistical, typical sarcastic, but it wasn't when you grew up around nothing but gangsters and hustlers.
Your half-sister's family, the Valentines.
No. See, that's a whole nother subject because my sister daddy, his name is John Doe, known as J.D. Valentine. And I respect the doc because the doc took care of my mama kids.
Who was Tony Valentine at Puritan?
That's his little brother.
How does that all connect?
My uncle Tony Valentine, you know what I'm saying, he was one of them dudes, you know what I'm saying? Actually, I think alleged Meech worked for Tony, you know, and Tony ended up dying in the federal penitentiary. Anybody that know TV, Mob, you know what I'm saying, they Puritan legends. You know what I'm saying? This was just a part of my everyday lifestyle, you know, seeing people in brand new cars, fur coats, you know what I'm saying, just having money. And that's kind of my order.
Yeah, the neighborhood's fucked up.
The neighborhood fucked up. It's a slum, you know. Parkside was the worst block over there. You know what I'm saying? And
so now you're in San Bernardino.
Now I'm in San Bernardino, and I got. See, the thing about the difference between Detroit and San Bernardino is this: San Bernardino respect that pistol, Detroit respect that money and that hustle, but they both one and the same because Detroit represent money and gangster shit, and San Bernardino do as well. At this time, Kimbo, rest in peace, is the king of San Bernardino, and he from Gilbert Street. And my
Gilbert Street.
Gilbert Street is Bloods.
And is that?
And they know.
You're supposedly.
And I ain't no supposedly nothing. I got put on Gilbert Street at 13 years old. And the reason why I got put on Gilbert Street was because the G homies recognized my hustle along with my street gangsterism, and we was putting in work. So what that made them want to do is grab me, and because I was from Detroit and I didn't grow up in the neighborhood, you know what I mean, they took a liking to me, and my name is really Detroit Black.
In Gilbert Street is a non-LA gang though that's in the scheme of Southern California.
We the town
is respected.
San Bernardino is the town and LA is the city. We 40 minutes away from each other.
What you're a part of is respected.
I was respected all through the system. You know what I mean? The IE card is very strong. You know what I'm saying? And the difference between where I laid my head at in Rialto and San Bernardino was that the hood is surrounded by Mount Vernon. And Mount Vernon is known for pimps and hoes and, you know, a real money street. They call it money earning. And I had access to this capital over there because now I'm from the hood. Now I'm able to come over here and hustle and grind. You know, so through my grind, I ended up meeting a dude that I fucked with, an older head, you know what I'm saying? He in the pen right now, he my Gito. And he was robbing jewelry store licks. You know what I'm saying? He hit a jewelry store for $250,000. You know what I'm saying? He seen that I was interested. You know what I mean? I listened. And, you know, I was a little different than some of my homeboys because some people was cool with selling rocks. Well, because I came from making $500 a day to I don't got a fucking dime. My grandma gave me $150 a year at Christmas time. If I got any type of girlfriend or anybody that I like, I gotta buy something at Christmas, plus make sure I got a couple khaki suits. So it wasn't working for me. Make a long story short, I started hustling on the block. But due to my curfew, I couldn't stay long. So between school and my grandmother making sure I had my ass at home on time, I decided I need to hit some licks. So make a long story short, I started hitting licks. At 14 years old, you know, I'm into my third lick. I got probably like $7,500. I'm able to buy a car, but I can't because I ain't old enough to drive. You know, I done bought a little jewelry. My girlfriend at the time had a son. I'm 14 years old.
How old was the girl?
She was 14 too. She had my first son, Anthony. So, you know what I'm saying? As a man, or as a kid or a man, whatever you want to call me at 14, an adolescent, I feel like it was my responsibility to take care of him, you know, and try to be a father that I didn't have, or he had either. So it was a song that Goody Mob made called Get Up, Get Out, Get Something.
Don't spend all your time trying to get high.
And I'm listening to this song one day and I'm like, man, something got to shake. So I called my partner. My partner said, come on. We started hitting licks. And one day I did some bullshit, man. I doubled back and I robbed the same place twice. And I got caught. I get the money. I hit the drop. I get the money. I hear the tire screech. They chase me. Bam, I go through the alley. You got to investigate. The detectives on me. Get caught. I ended up going to Gill Street Juvenile Hall on the east side. And they offering to give me 8 years of YA. It was either go to YA or sit here and fight this case, which I'm going to lose. I got caught red-handed. So because I've always been a thinker and I feel like God always had his hands on me, I chose to bring up to my lawyer that my grandmother already bought my plane ticket to go back to Detroit to see my mama for the summer. Now this is 1994. The judge grants me the rights to go back to Detroit to my mom, but never come back to California until I'm over 18. I get kicked out of California at the age of 14.
Man.
I get banned from California at the age of 14. What brought me back to California?
So how long did you stay away?
A year.
So what goes on during that year?
In the year that I was gone, well, in the year that I came up,
You go back to Detroit.
what makes it interesting, the day I got off the plane and got back to California, to Detroit, I went right back to Wildermere Puritan. At this time, the block is probably doing somewhat 100,000, maybe close to 150 a day. It's so active over here. It's one of the most active streets in Detroit. And it's documented. Google that. The day I get back, I go to my homegirl Tamika house. And she crying, and she like, you know, I know Tamika love me to death. And I'm like, damn, what's up? Like, I ain't getting no love. She like, you know, Jay, I'm happy to see you, but you know, my dad just got killed. And when she said it, it hit me so hard because growing up poor in this community, you look up to those that you feel like made it. Her daddy name was Louis, rest in peace. And during my poor years, Louis would give me the shirt off his back. I had all his hand-me-downs came to me. His Gucci, his Levi's, his freaky shirts that they called him at the time. Like Louis was like a father figure to me. You know what I'm saying? This was her dad. And I worked for Louis, and that was, you know, it just fucked me up that day. So my partner, Donnell Flint, rest in peace. He died while I was in the feds, man. A good dude from Highland Park, 7 Mile. And we went around the corner, man, and we bought an ounce of weed. We paid $140 for it. And I thought to myself, I just bought a motherfucking quarter pound in California for $120. I know damn well you ain't just spent $140 on this ounce of weed. So at that time, I end up, you know, my past is back. I'm back on the block. I'm back in this abusive household. I get kicked out the house again. I'm going to Mumford. That was a hell of a year. 1994, 1995. It was a lot of shootings, a lot of weed smoke. Bone Thugs and Harmony had just came out. My hair was long as hell.
Do you feel lucky to have made it alive and free out of that year?
Ultimately blessed. A lot of people who name I just mentioned, Money Who was a real hustler from Detroit. You know what I'm saying? He ended up dying with one gunshot to the chest. But at this time, I'm trying to find myself because I can't go back to California. I can't go back to my mom's. I'm in the streets, but this was kind of my transition in life to understand the difference between a hustler or a bitch ass nigga. And the reason why I use that word bitch ass nigga is because I was living in a house where a woman was taking care of the whole house. And I had an option to sit around like everybody else and let her provide for them or get on my grind. So I left and I came back to California. I left a rider, I came back a rider. 1995 was a vicious year because a lot of Bloods turned Crips. So when I come back, I see a lot of niggas, who was supposed to be whooping and now these niggas is on some other shit. And I wasn't feeling that. And, it was a new gang that came up in the town and they focus was hating IE dudes. What people was not understanding is that a lot of these dudes grew up in the Inland Empire. Family, they might have majority of the people that's in San Bernardino came from LA. And if they didn't come from LA, San Bernardino is originally a Air Force town. So, a lot of people, it's a military town. So a lot of people, came there for military. But San Bernardino is rock and roll. There's a lot of money out there. A lot of people had their back against the wall against dudes they feel like they can come take over. Because like I said, it's a town. When I first entered the prison system, I went to Victorville Medium 1. And I had never been to prison, so one of the worst prisons in the fucking system. Period, point blank. You hear about Big Sandy, you hear about Bloody Colock, you hear about Victorville. At a medium high, I didn't go to USP, thank God. All the blood spills, the riots, the violence. I actually made it to the prison during the riots. And
so what riot was occurring when you got there?
Actually, the South had got into it with the Southsiders.
What do you mean, the southern U.S. states?
Yeah, when you in a system,
the black inmates of the southern.
The black inmates, but it's still all blacks, because it don't matter. You're a black man. You're supposed to ride with your culture. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna ride with your people the same way the Mexicans gonna ride, the same way the whites gonna ride. Everything is segregated. GDs, Vice Lords, Bloods, Crips, Serranos, Norteños, Paisas, Dirty South white boys, or Aryan Brotherhoods. There's a lot of different separation, but at this time I know for a fact that it was the Southern blacks that got into it with the Southsiders. But you had the leader of the UBN, he was there.
What's the UBN?
United Blood Nation. And we ain't talking about we talking about BL and UBN, prison gangs in California.
So that would be gangs that blood gang members from LA, from California, join
in prison.
In prison, and there's a conflict sometimes, not to get into that, but there is a conflict. Some of them will join, some won't, and there's some conflict or friction about do their loyalties to UBN or BL supersede the loyalties to their gang.
No question. And
that's a dilemma for some.
Yeah, you might have some, we call it cut, you know what I'm saying? So you might find your homeboy who one day he was from your hood, he was your dog, and then the day he come back, he UBN. I will say, nigga, you got cut on you.
Were you, were you intimidating going into Victorville?
Nah, I wasn't. I never been in prison, so it was just an everyday walk of my. It was never, fear was never there. Curiosity, I would say, due to the fact I had never been to prison. So when I got there, I remember it was the unit was on lockdown, and when I was getting my mattress, the first person that knocked on the door and beat on the door asked me where I was from. I yelled out what I would yell out every other day.
Which is?
Versus what a normal person that comes into the federal system would say. They would say, hey, I'm from Detroit, San Bernardino. That wasn't what I yelled out. It's just a lot of things that I seen from just being in the medium. So first, say being in Victorville. You had Harry O, who was my dog, Trouble Man, rest in peace, 20 Outlaws. Harry O started Death Row. He was the funder of Death Row. Then you had, dudes like Trouble Man from 20 Outlaws who was there. You had a lot of, Speedy from L.A. Lanes, he was there. One of the chief vice lords, T-Fly from Chicago, he was there. So it was a lot of high, because it was a disciplinary spot. So if you messed up somewhere, you ended up here. And it was like the fuck up of all fuck ups. So blood spill was a job. Like, you might hear blood spill shit 5 to 8 times a week.
So you had a job cleaning up spilled blood?
No. That was little grasshopper's job. I worked in education.
But that was a job.
It was a job. It was a job to go clean up blood. They pay $25 a spill. So a motherfucker can make $200-300 just cleaning up blood every week. That was just Victorville.
That was like spilled blood almost every day.
That's just Victorville. You know what I'm saying? I've seen many butcherings. West Coast politics is like this. There's black, brown, and white. And there's others. Others usually roll with brothers.
That'd be Asians.
That would be Asians or Tongans or, the Samoans. Exactly. So, when you go to places like Forest City, Arkansas, which is a low custody level federal institution, they don't know to stick with your own. And we ain't talking about racist shit, because I got partners from all walks of the system.
It just makes thrust upon
it just makes sense. It's like if I'm over here playing with the white boys, and we get out of line and they smash me, now my people's gonna want to know what the fuck was you doing horse playing with some motherfuckers that you shouldn't. So you stay in your place. I'm a gambler. I play poker. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna see them all. That's just period. I deserve the right I feel like I was entitled to a day or a week to run the poker table. We had high state games.
This is in Victorville or Forest City?
It's Forest City.
So the tension level when you get to Forest City is lower.
Way lower. It's disrespectful. You got chomo shot callers. They started a high end game and they didn't include me.
Where's the money come for our guy? What's a high end game in prison, and where are these guys getting their money from?
I mean,
like what states?
I can't tell you where a nigga get his money from. What I'm gonna tell you this: as long as you got it, you can gamble. Okay, high stake games would be. It's about $5,000 in this game every day. A cut on that game is equivalent to $500 to $1,000 a day. So they decided to let other people run the table by day. So now I got access to make 100 books, and if you don't know what books are stamps. Stamp values at 20 stamps may be $6. So I might cut $600 today, which that's $600. I don't even got to play the table full. It's just give me access at my money back that I'm losing or I'm winning. So they decided to do this poker table when they didn't include me. So when I found out about that they started a table and didn't include me, I went out there, I yelled so woo, 50 motherfuckers pulled up, and I told them I need my day. They said all the day.
Pull up on.
I pulled up my boy Omar, who was running the table.
He was black.
No, he's Mexican. From Texas. Real good, solid dude, man.
Why
and a Paisa named Bernie.
Why
Bernie was cool.
Why did they try to exclude you?
No, it wasn't them in particular. It was just that greed. Less people, more cut. But I'm one of the real. I play this shit every day, so I'm entitled. I'm gonna take this, and I took that. You know what I'm saying? It didn't go with no. I wasn't going. It's the way I did it. So what I'm getting at is, they wanted to exclude me. Well, I won't say exclude me. They didn't involve me. So I went and I told them strictly, I need a day. So now they went from, a few of them was solid. Like, damn, we forgot about Jay. Joka do need a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit, he lost a lot of money. He done won a lot of money. He's a active player every day. We got to give him. Now, some motherfuckers try to say, no, it's closed.
These were all Hispanics?
These was both. All mixed races. I yelled, so whoop. The homies come. 7, you know what I'm saying? It's my dog, you know what I'm saying, out of motherfucking Kansas City, Missouri. Whoop. You know, he showed up, the rest of the niggas showed up, and I just let it be known, like, look, this is how this gonna go. I need my day. You know what I mean? They talked about it, but what I'm getting at, it was a Crip from Grape Street, Tennessee. And he went against me. No, ain't no other body getting no table. I said, look, blood, I ain't talking to you. Watch out. Move around. Simple and plain. Now, I got love for real Grape Street niggas from Watts that I know personally. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't about where he's from. It was about the fact that we black and you going against me. So, you know, me, I'm the type of dude, I can't sleep. You know, they gave me my day. You know, but I couldn't sleep on it. So, you know, first yard. You know what I'm saying? They'll call they'll call main line. I mean, not main line, they'll call meds. So it'll be meds and outdoor rec. That might be at like 5:50, between 5:50 and 6:10 in the morning. So, you know, I'll beeline out the door, straight to his unit. Nigga, this individual, yeah. And I'm at his bed. Wake up. Man, get up, blood. You know what I'm saying? I could have drove him, but I didn't. Because I wanted him to understand the difference between going against your folks and staying in pocket. And he don't understand West Coast politics. West Coast politics, I wouldn't give a fuck. I ain't never going against my own for nobody else. I'll shut the fuck up before I put myself in a bad position with my own people. You know what I'm saying? So through me waking him up, you know, whether he feels some type of way, I told him that you feel some type of way, you know what I mean? You got action. But I can't sleep with this on my head, doggy. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got this shit fucked up out here. Yo, don't go against. So it was another incident I had on the yard. I ain't gonna go deep into details because, you know what I mean, certain people might want to be implemented. But they had a Crip day. You know, the Crips went out there, they played football, baseball. Okay, they got a thing called being on count. So if you on count, that means you showing up with your paperwork and you're gonna find out where the blood's at. So if I hit the yard, there's two things I want to know: where the blood's at and where the Detroit niggas at. That's period, point blank. Because I'm from Detroit and I'm a blood. So I don't want to know where the California car at. Because even though I'm from San Bernardino, California, I don't need to know where y'all at. Detroit, we players, man, so we ain't never really had too many problems. You know what I'm saying?
Detroit's pretty deep car.
No, Detroit was a deep car even in Victorville. You know, you had Funk, Calvin, you know, some real solid ones. You know what I'm saying? And Victorville with me. And to be honest with you, the Bloods, we ate right here. Detroit ate right here. So I said wherever the hell I chose to, because we sat together. And we had an alliance, and they already knew, like, nigga, we going with y'all. Because from one, Joka with y'all, and two, we fuck with y'all, period. See, Wolf, we moved a different way. So say you came to the yard. Boom, you come day one. You already said you was a blood, so they bring you to us. Say they bring you straight to me. You come to me, I say, look, homie, this is how it's going to go. By the time your property hit, I need to see your paperwork. Once I check your paperwork and you're official, you good. But because you're from Boston, Queen Street, Boston, whoops, go tap in with the Bostons and let them know you here. You know what I'm saying? If he come back, he Damo ride. He with us. If he don't come back, he's Boston. So we don't even acknowledge him as a blood. And there was a lot of them in Arkansas. I threw a function. I put this function together. I mean, my boy Big out of Flint, rest in peace, man. He helped me. We cooked probably about 20 pizzas, 200 burritos. I fed the whole pound. You know what I'm saying? As far as the whoops. But I told him, bring your passport with you. Bring your paperwork. And there was so many niggas from St. Louis and Kansas and, I mean, just different parts of the states that decided before that day came to come say, hey, Jay, man, you know, I'm riding St. Louis, so I'm riding with my town.
They had been saying.
But they was Damu riding, throwing up bloods every time they see you, or yelling suit whoop every time they see you, but they didn't want to look a certain way to their folks because this wasn't a yard where you had to choose where you go.
You get kind of.
It's low custody. My boy GD partner, who actually was my celly, 2'6". He out of Memphis. I want to say White Haven. He had told one of the dudes, like, man, let me get some food for me and my boy. You know what I'm saying? He basically wanted to be like, cause that nigga blood, I'm not forgiving that nigga shit. But instead he gave another example that I'll speak on the next segment. His insinuations was wrong. So the way I went about it was I politicked on him. And the way you politic on a motherfucker that you don't want to either put that knife in or...
Wait, you talking about your celly?
No, my celly came to me and told me what the nigga said.
Oh.
It was a white boy who was claiming Hoover. But he told me what he said. And instead of me stomping him out, fucking up my date, I just politicked on him. So I went to Hoover and the Crip car. I went to him, showed him my paperwork. I said, hey, is anything on this paperwork has anything to do with what came out this nigga mouth? And they looking at it like, man, hell no. I said, okay, so boom, your boy spoke on me.
The white who?
The white, yeah, your boy spoke on me. And since he spoke on me, you don't see no stains on my jacket.
Is a white Hoover Crip from Tennessee or?
He was from Tennessee. Okay. Yeah, so I said, y'all need to handle that. Or if not, I am. He was riding with the Crips. Okay. So it didn't matter if he was black or white, he was a Crip. You know what I'm saying? So I politicked with him with the Crips. Actually, I grabbed a homie from Stones. You know, from the J's, my nigga L Black. You know what I'm saying? Whoop, he out now, right now. You know, shout out to my nigga Black. He went with me. I didn't need a whole crowd of niggas. I just needed one solid. You know what I'm saying? And we went and we politic. Man, they punished that boy. They beat the brakes off that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? For disrespecting me.
And it's saying something about your paperwork that wasn't true.
Exactly. He didn't know me. So what he did was he just took a hypothetic out of his mental and said something instead of him just saying I don't want the blood to eat none of my Crip food. If he'd have just said that, he was cool. Yeah. But that ain't what he said. So I knew I had him though. You know what I'm saying? So I served him, you know what I mean, the way he needed to be served. Man, they punished that boy. That nigga tried to come to my cell tomorrow, hey man, I said, get away, man, before I slap shit out you. Period. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not a violent person. I ain't promoting violence. I'm not promoting negative. The guards is babysitters. Like you had one on the unit of
they there
of 120
basically.
Yeah, they ain't even there for that shit. They on they motherfucking cell phones talking to their bitch. They ain't thinking about us. You know what I'm saying? We run that motherfucker. But you know, it was just a difference between the high, mediums, and going to a low. You know, it's like I remember being in Forest City and getting there and hitting the yard, and my boy taking me on a tour and saying like, you know, that's the wood shot caller, you know, that's the GDs, that's the Vice Lords, you know, bam, and that's the Chomo shot caller.
Whoa! The what?
The Chomo shot caller, child molester shot caller.
How many?
As we was going through intake, the first thing they ask you is, do you have a problem with snitches? Do you have a problem with child molesters? So
that's just to go to any kind of low
cut, because that's where they at. They in the camps, they in the lows. Victorville, I've never even heard the word chomos. Like, I never heard that word because
that was there.
It wasn't common because, I mean, the Bloods, we was checking paperwork. I know the Compton car was checking paperwork. The Compton Crips was checking paperwork, I'll say that. And I know one thing, them motherfucking white boys wasn't playing. They checking paperwork. You know, you don't even get a radio. Them motherfuckers, until you get your property, you don't get, or go to the store and buy your own shit, they not giving you no radio, they ain't giving you shit. You gotta have that motherfucking paperwork. If Forest City had 2,000 inmates, 1,200 of them was child, half the prison, over half. And what it made, what the fuck? Yeah, but see, this the thing though, you better not touch them. They gonna give you an extra 5 years. They gonna punish you, you fuck with them people. Because all they gotta do, no matter if you got into them with them personally on a different incident, like my boy Bad on Wall Street Rail, you know what I'm saying, Number Street, free my nigga Wall Street. Not because he was punking them or doing that, it's just they got out of pocket, my nigga gonna slap you up, period. And you know, ain't gonna do a bullet. And you tell we gonna punish you, you know what I'm saying? But we per se left them alone because it's like, fuck it, we already getting you damn near home, and you don't got no choice where you're going. And when they send you somewhere, they can.
Well, you just said no, I got a problem with punks, but
then now you get a shoe for the rest of your career. Who the fuck want to be in isolation? So want to get out there and get some money.
No choice.
Yeah, so you know you had to deal with that. But I remember one incident, man, because I had a neighbor who cell next to me, and he was his whole little. They was into this Dungeons and Dragons and weird ass shit that, you know, these motherfuckers was fucked up because they couldn't watch TV. They couldn't go to TV rooms. They couldn't use the false camera.
Oh, they weren't being allowed to by the other inmates?
Nah, period. You know what I'm saying?
So the child molester car, for lack of a better term, was being deprived of some of the amenities of prison life.
Exactly. But one of the things that you would see them do was buy pictures. So you had people who sold nudity pictures. So like for me, for example, if Al pull up and that nigga had Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B coochie, and motherfucking Beyonce's titties, I need that. You know what I'm saying? I need that. I did 7 years in the field. I need it. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna pay $2 a piece for the bitches. Not to call them bitches, but they're paying $200 for that, right? $2 a piece for a picture. But one day I just so happened to glance over as this little dude was selling some pictures. And I glanced over and seen the pictures that he was selling the child molester.
It was a Hispanic guy?
No, this was a black that was selling the toy, right? And when I looked at the pictures, and I said, man, them fucking kids. And I snatched the pictures, man, and I threw the motherfuckers away. I said, and I banged on all of them right there, but I didn't care about them because that's their disease. They already fucked up. I wasn't even tripping on them. I was tripping on the nigga that served the pictures. So
it was just a hustle.
I told him, fuck his hustle. I said, what you telling me is you support this shit.
Yeah.
Because he made a smart ass comment like, everybody needs something. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, so you gonna serve these motherfuckers for
this guy?
$1? I don't remember. He was a nobody. I don't remember his name. If he see this interview, he know who the fuck I'm talking about. I don't remember his name, but I had to tell him.
What was he in it for? You know?
I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? See, one thing I'd never do is get into niggas' business that wasn't in my circles. Yeah. If you wasn't from Detroit or Downwood riding, only way you gonna see my paperwork is if you my celly. Because the day you move into my cell, I'm gonna show you me. I might get cool with you. I gotta make sure you ain't hot because I want to see yours. Yeah. Off top, don't even ask me to sell. They knew this though already, just from how I carry myself. They know don't ask to be my celly if you hot. If you hot, you fucked up, don't even ask. You know what I'm saying? So everybody that came and asked, which many people didn't want to sell with me. I like to be by myself. But it's something that did. You know what I'm saying? They asked. Like, what's crazy is I got a celly, had a prior celly who, he came, he was like, hey man, you mind if I sell with you? I said, I ain't got no problem with that. But what I need to know, matter of fact, call your lawyer, get your doctor sheet, judgment commitment, because in Forest City you couldn't get your PSI. But I had mine from my whole journey. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't get the whole thing, but let me see the doctor sheet, judgment commitment, send the transcripts. That nigga shit was there in 2 days. I told him, come on, boom. We moved in. You know what I'm saying? But that's normally not, they don't want you doing that type of shit there. You know what I'm saying? They know it's being done, but they don't want you doing that type of shit. Like, they done knew I ain't letting motherfuckers sell with me. If they got their paperwork, I'd have been in the hole and they'd have sent me somewhere else. But shit, I couldn't get no farther than fucking Forest City. You know what I mean? If I wasn't in Milan or Terminal Island at a low, I didn't care where the hell they sent me. Because shit, I'm already far as fuck. It's like, it's politics. Let them. It's the same way I did with the white crib.
They might beat up a child.
Y'all
so he was there.
Because this the thing about him. He's the medium between, it's like saying a gang member against a gang member, they ain't gonna get no terrorist attack. But a gang member against a child molester, now it's a hate crime. And now you back in court and you face getting a few more years.
Oh, so they would selectively enforce inmate assaults based on the different crimes or classifications.
Exactly. If I would say, if I'm pressing a snitch, if I'm on a hot nigga ass and he let him know he fucked me up because I'm hot, they gonna press me. It's a problem. You know what I'm saying? Versus if it was a regular motherfucker, I got it too.
If I was a gang member and beat him up, no charge.
No charge. They ain't tripping on that shit. I mean, if y'all don't tell, then you good. Right. If motherfucker tell, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna get your disciplinary and it's gonna go from there. But that's the only thing that was fucked up about Forest City. It was just so many different people that had never been nowhere. You had people that had just came to the system from the streets. When you low custody, more than likely you got a bail.
So when you caught that guy selling chopped stuff, I want to go back to that. So we think of, people's prison as a black hole, but I mean, it's not. There's a million people there, literally, about the United States, or 2 million. Life doesn't stop. They're there in there. Food goes, just like commissary, and food goes in and phone calls go out, tobacco goes in, cell phones go in, hard drugs go in, and if their sickness, like to use your word, was a heroin, but child pornography, that goes in there too.
obviously you weren't, too much enmeshed in that circuit, but you had to have just caught, wind of like, how much was that going on? Was that like a big hustle, or was that when you saw it that one time that kind of blew your mind?
It just fucked me up. It kind of blew my mind. But see, pictures was a hustle.
But how much, boy, that sounds...
I'm saying, take the child.
But
the
when
child
you get
picture.
caught, so that guy...
If he'd have got caught but here's the thing though, they don't give a fuck. Now let's just say he got those pictures sent in from his family members.
Yeah.
Now, he could have been at risk at catching a new case. 'Cause that's child pornography.
That's worse than getting caught with some drugs.
Yeah, exactly. So he could be in that same predicament now. Because he's finessing.
Walking around with child pornography pictures, he is a pedophile.
But see, but when you got po-ass motherfuckers, and this is their way of trying to come up, and I'm not knocking nobody's hustle by saying that, but I'm knocking his hustle. I'm knocking his hustle.
Yeah.
Because the picture game, I'm not knocking the picture game.
No, we ain't talking about we ain't talking about pictures of Beyonce. We talking about pictures of 8-year-olds.
And that's my problem.
You can knock that.
So that's why I had to press him, because that was
How
disrespectful.
much do you think that was going on? Hard to know.
Huh?
Because how much do you think that was going on?
Man, that was just my first time seeing it.
Right, you're not.
Like, I'm not in that realm,
Right.
so I'm not in that circle, so I don't know. Obviously,
It wasn't the only.
hell no, this wasn't the first sale. You know what I mean?
And did he seem particularly?
No, he seemed like
he just kept it pushing.
No, he seemed like it was funny at first because he made a joke towards it.
Like it was no big deal.
But he didn't know how serious I was about it. So at that point, now I come with apologies, understanding, because he ain't want me to whoop his motherfucking ass. So instead, he like, no, big homie, I ain't know. I'm just trying to make a couple dollars. I wasn't even thinking like that. Well, nigga, you need to think like that, nigga.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Because I got kids. You know what I'm saying? And it's just.
Well, there has to be a line somewhere.
And that's the whole
Everything
thing.
can't be a hustle.
When you're dealing with credit.
You don't just get to see, I'm hustling, so it's an excuse. I mean,
Exactly.
that's
You
not-
know what I mean? But that's the whole game. You had so many people who's been caught up with doing.
I mean, there's people in jail that are just low life scumbags.
Oh no,
They're not-
that's the truth. I never really got into other people's business, but that day
Sometimes
I did.
you got
That day I did
Yeah.
because it was disrespectful, And it's just like I remember another incident I'm gonna speak on, man, and I'm gonna end this on this note. I remember being in Victorville, right, and the day Harry hit the yard, a motherfucker spoke on him, right. And he was like, "Yeah, that's Harry, man." The nigga started death row with a wham. But I knew he looked familiar because he looked like my uncle Donnie, rest in peace. So me and him had a few words at the telephone, and I'm talking to him and shit. And I just told him where I was from. He was like, "Man, I know some real cats in San Bernardino, man. My partner Charlie Mack started the Crips, PPHG. You know what I'm saying? He was telling me about that, and rest in peace to Big Charlie Mack. And he was also speaking on, cats he knew from Detroit. But dude came to me and was like, "Hey man, yeah, that nigga hot. You know what I'm saying? That nigga hot. Nigga, he told on."
Wait, somebody came to tell you the church
Harry O was hot. You know what I'm saying? And I followed Death Row like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? No Suge personally. You know what I'm saying? I fucked with the role. So I never heard that. I've never heard Harry O being hot or being a snitch. So I defended him without even seeing his paperwork or knowing him at all. You know what I'm saying? Just because I've never heard
What
that.
was his demeanor?
Who's?
Harry O.
Man, that nigga's a player. He's a smooth motherfucker, man. I ain't gonna even lie, man.
He see that money.
Did he seem to have money in the federal system? Any motherfucker that sit on that computer and run them True Links up, fall asleep, doze off, wake back up, and go back on that motherfucker.
What's True Link?
Gotta have some money.
Core Link?
True Link. Core Links, True Links. Core Link. Okay, Core Links is the connection how we used to email each other.
Yeah.
And then True Links is, I think that's how we buy the music. So I might have
you paid.
I might have the music, but True Links was like the email system.
Okay, that you paid.
Yeah, it cost us 5 cents
Oh.
a minute to email.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? But that was just a little joke we used to always say about him, because he'd sit there and go to sleep on the fucking computer. But nah, whether he got money or not, that wasn't the thing. You know what I mean? The way he carried himself, you could tell he carried himself to a standard of a man. He had his shit together. You know what I'm saying? He been doing this. He just did 25 years in the state, now he in the federal system. And, he on the dance floor every weekend. That's the visit room. You know what I'm saying? So obviously somehow he had some love, and I took him to be a man of having some finances.
So you defended him about this that's being hot.
I'm just talking to a nigga that I call myself fucking with. You know what I'm saying? But he doing what you ain't supposed to do. I don't speak on no other man unless I see it. If I don't got the facts, I'm not gonna speak on it. So I'm telling him like, nigga, I ain't never heard that. But Marcelli and Harry O is road dogs from way back in the low bottoms. You know what I mean? So I'm telling Marcelli, which we all down move, so I ain't speaking outside the
Low
car.
bottoms is what? Neighborhood?
That's Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's a neighborhood
east
just
side.
south of downtown Los Angeles.
Yeah, that's the low bottoms. You know what I mean? 20 Outlaws is where he's from. And I'm just telling Marcelli this. You know, this is blood business. I ain't went outside the car or nothing. You know, so Marcelli, that being his homeboy, he told him. But he didn't tell him right away. That ain't what he did. But, you know, so what he did was he had an incident where he kind of was, dude that told me them two had an incident. So when he go in there, Marcelli offered the nigga a fade or whatever, the nigga turned the fade down. But he told him like, nigga, and this nigga running around, nigga talking about you hot. You know what I'm saying? So Harry O he heated. These two, you know, they get into it. Harry O told me like, nigga, you trying to make it to where I ain't even gonna never go home. And I'm like, nah, I you know, because since I spoke on it once, I gotta speak on it again. I'm gonna stand up as a man. When I say something, I'm gonna stand on it. So the nigga said, man, what did I say about Harry O? Because now they got him in the room. They pressed him. I said, nigga, you said he was hot. And what did I say? I said, nigga, I ain't never heard that. I said, see, yeah, here you go. Yeah, he said he was hot. And I walked out the room. You know, normally I would have stayed, but I walked because you got to deal with that. You know what I mean? Harry O went to pulling out his paperwork like, nigga. You know, but dude trying to come home. So, you know, but he later on that day, he said, man, you trying to have me never go home, man. I said, I would have never told you that. You know what I'm saying? I would have never told you that because it's certain people that you show your work to. Now, if you're a part of a whatever you want to call it, a gang or coalition, whatever other entity, of course they're going to want to see some type of documentation showing that you're solid. But him being non-affiliated, you know what I mean? He don't have to show nobody but who he deal with his stuff. You get what I'm saying? Because who was there to press him? Ain't no gang to press him. Ain't nobody. He's standing on his own as a man. You know what I'm saying? So because him and Marcelli so tight, of course they exchange paperwork. That's protocol. If I fuck with you, I'm gonna let you know I ain't hot. I'm not gonna let you hear from somebody else. I'm not gonna want to show it. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, man, you know what I mean? I'm Jay Joka. This American Dope, Hard Life Entertainment. Shout out to everybody out there, man, that support our prophet. I support him since day one. I rock with him.
And if you come out here, you're going to have to share the same dream that he had. But if his dream is of self-destruction, your brother, what is your name? Al. Al?
Yep.
You will self-destruct too. Anybody you work for is of self-destruction. You will self-destruct too. The money is only for a moment.